Hallo und herzlich willkommen zum Brain Food Podcast, dein Podcast für ganzheitliche Gesundheit und Wohlbefinden. Mein Name ist Sandra Strixner und heute darf ich dir eine Episode in Englisch präsentieren mit der lieben Show Moskowitz, die ich hier in Koh Panghan, Thailand kennenlernen durfte. Wir werden über TRE sprechen, Trauma and Tension Release Exercises. Und jetzt starten wir auch gleich schon in Englisch. Hello, show, and welcome to the Brain Food Podcast.
Hi there. I'm happy to be here with you.
I'm shortly gonna tell people out there what is TRE, and then we jump into the topic, okay? TRE was developed originally by David Bercelli, an American psychotherapist who was working in several conflict areas. He observed that the normal reaction of the human organism after experiencing a traumatic situation is to shake off the experience. Sometimes the whole body is moving during the process. His conclusion was that all mammals use this body reaction to get into a healthy balance after a traumatic experience. How have you gotten into the field of TRE, show?
Okay, good question. So I am generally interested in different healing modalities that actually work. And I collect these and teach them in my business, Karuna Detox. As a person, I have a history of trauma, as I believe most of us have to some degree, some of us more than others. My family has a history of the Holocaust and has more trauma than most, perhaps. And that created real problems for my family, for the mothers in the family, and for myself as a daughter in the family. So in my exploration, I was very interested in finding a modality that worked directly with the body in releasing the trauma almost on a biological level. And I was interested in that. And then I came across TRE and it really matched. It really works. So for me, the beauty of this practice is that we're not actually focusing on the storyline. We're not focusing on the specifics of what happened, but we just know that some things happened that were at the time too overwhelming to be released and completed in that time. So we carry the stress of them with us. And the more civilized we are, the more we do this. That's the funny thing, is the more that we learn to be civilized and less natural and animalistic in a way, the more we carry our attention with us from one moment to the next, to the next. And so we get older and harder and more rigid and more stuck if we're doing it like civilized people. But if we're doing it more like natural people, then we get to dance and sing and be fluid and joyful all the way from birth till death, not by not having any trauma or any difficulty, but by being able to rebalance and release it in the moment as close as possible to the moment that we absorbed it. In TRE, we learn how to do this in a really slow and safe way that's very much connected to our actual capacity, not what our brain thinks our capacity is, because that's where the civilized behavior gets it wrong, is we think that we can be ambitious and that there be no price and no cost to that. And in TRE, we learn that slow, steady, and frequent is the way to go in order to be a healthy, happy, adaptable organism.
This is exactly what we're trying to achieve here in Brain Food Podcast, finding balance in life again, finding your inner child, your inner happy child. And TRE is definitely helping. I did a almost 2-hour session with you 2 days ago, and I felt really, really released of some of disturbing feelings I had. And I think what is also really interesting is your history, that you are originally coming from the UK, but looking into your passport, seeing all these stamps, it seems like you have a nomadic lifestyle. Can you tell us a little bit more about the places you have been and what were the places you liked the most in your life?
Okay, so for me, every place that I've been has been home. And when people ask me what's the place that I love the most, I always say, well, where I am now, because it's true. Otherwise, I wouldn't be there. I would be moving on. But I'm not actually, I live in UK now. I'm originally American. And then my family immigrated to Israel. And I grew up there. I was raised there. And after that, I lived in different places, such as Japan, India for 4 years, studying yoga, meditation, and Carnatic traditional singing, eating breakfast with baby water. I ate breakfast of watermelon with a baby elephant every morning while I lived in India. It was just part of my day, was to meet this little baby elephant for breakfast. I mean, it's been amazing. And then after that, I moved to Spain and created a community with a few other people and with my husband-to-be. And we created a raw food, permaculture, nudist eco-village.
Great.
Yeah, which was quite the change from living in India, where I hadn't seen my shoulders or my knees for 4 years because it's very traditional and very, I wasn't living in Goa. I was living in Mysore, where traditional Indian ways are the way to live. And then moved to Europe, had a child. And when I became pregnant, I decided to move somewhere where I could offer the cultural changes and shifts that I wanted to share with the world, but that I would also receive. That was very important for me when I was nesting as a mother, that I be in a place that's good for me and my baby, and that I be in a place where I can give and I can receive equally nourishment, safety, culture, all these things. And where I landed was next to Dartmoor. And so this is a beautiful place in Devon, UK, where I live now. And for me, it is homeland. I have really rooted there, and I've lived there for longer than I've lived anywhere else. And it is my home. Even while I'm in Koh Panghan, my heart is connected more to Dartmoor. But I take my practice of connecting with the land and connecting with this nurturing, mothering aspect of the land with me wherever I go. So it took me a while to do that here, but now that I've done that practice here and I've really connected with the heart of this earth beneath me, I feel at home here too.
Beautiful. So conclusion is, you can make any place in this world your home, but some places are feeling a little bit more special. Yeah.
You can and you should, because you're a human walker of this earth, and there's absolutely no need to live without being at home.
So beautiful. Can you tell us a little bit more about TRE and the studies of David Bercelli and your own experiences with it?
Okay, sure. So TRE is something that I came across as a little local workshop to where I live. All beautiful things are happening around where I live, similar to here in Koh Panghan. So many beautiful things. And I came across it and tried it, and found that it was really great for unpacking stresses. I love practices that do a good job. And this one really did. It even started moving through my body into areas that I have had injuries in the past, such as my lower back, and it started releasing there quite quickly. But some of the things that I noticed are that I had a lot more resilience after I started practicing TRE. So before that, because I have a lot of responsibilities, I'm a mother, I manage various health businesses, but even just saying a mother would be enough. Our children have a lot of needs when we actually are looking at it. When we're really there, there's a lot of needs. If we're not doing a great job, then it's easy. Easy for us, not easy for the kids. But yeah, when we're really paying attention to them, I mean, it's individual, isn't it? Each person needs what they need. So anyhow, when I started to do TRE, I noticed that my capacity was so much greater to be calm and relaxed and just to deal with today. Like I was less carrying with me the stresses of yesterday. And that's an incredible thing, isn't it? To be able to just not have any of the stresses from yesterday be carried into the following day. So it's like then every day the energy that you're given is yours to use. You're not being depleted. So I love this aspect, and that's what really hooked me. And I learned about David Bercelli's method. The more I learned about it, the more I thought this is very simple and very effective. And it's worth saying that I think it's a very new system in a way. It's only been going, I think, for 9 years. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of innovation in the field, especially from the women, because the area that we're engaging in the shaking and the tremoring starts in the feet and the legs and in the hips and the pelvis, which is, of course, the seat of the womb and of, the women's menstruation. And so, for this to contribute to women's health is an extraordinary gift to women and to the children, of course. And I really look forward to seeing, I have some experience already in that, but I really look forward to seeing the female contribution in the field in the years to come as more and more women understand the impact of physically releasing, discharging the tension and the trauma from the area of the pelvis where perhaps women carry a lot of historical trauma. For various reasons, but mostly oppression of women and of their birth-giving capacities and of their sexuality.
Also the suppressing of the female energy on this earth.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about the psoas muscles, please?
Wonderful question. So TRE engages with 7 different exercises. That's how we stretch and fatigue different muscle groups in the body so that the body can be ready to release its own intrinsic tremor, which means that we're not doing it, it's happening. The body is doing it. And one of the main muscles that we work with, which is a muscle that's hard to get to, is called the psoas. It starts on the sides of the spine and the kind of lower back area. These muscles on both sides of the spine, that's where it attaches. It's a group of muscles. And it wraps around the sides of the waists inside the body, and then goes down towards the pelvis, tucks over the pelvic bone, which is the pubic bone at the bottom of your torso, where your sex is, and then attaches to the top of the thigh bone, called the femur. So this is a very deep muscle that's pretty much hard to reach in massage or in movement, but it's incredibly important to us humans that stand upright. It attaches the top part of the body to the bottom part of the body, kind of important. And also it's involved in the fight and flight response. So this is the muscle with which we use to curl up into a ball. If we're following our animalistic truth, like if we look at children, when they're very afraid, if they're that afraid, they might just curl up into a ball. Adults will do this too, but they have to be really extremely afraid to do this. This is the psoas muscle doing that. Also, it's the one that will get us moving and running away from the lion. Yeah? So because when we've been civilized, we avoid reacting in natural ways. We suppress our natural instincts. So if somebody scares us, we won't allow ourselves to run away, and we won't allow ourselves to curl up in a ball. We'll experience the emotions of it. We'll experience the biochemical reaction of it, but we won't engage in the physical behavior because we believe that would be wrong. That would be some kind of showing of a weakness. But what David Bercelli and TRE remind us, and what going to a TRE class can help us do, is remember that our nature provides us with a cure. It's not the problem, it's the cure. So actually behaving, following our natural adaptive behaviors is what completes the process and leaves us to live free without ulcers and without psychological issues.
And in the beginning, before our interview, you told me that David Bercelli actually studied children first, right? Yeah. And what did he observe there?
Yeah, that's a great story of David Bercelli. So he was in areas that were war-torn. And he would go into bomb shelters with people after bombs would land. And he would notice, he tells a story where he noticed that the children would shake. They would sit on the adults' laps, on their parents' laps, or their uncles and aunts, and they would start to shake. And he looked at them and he saw they were shaking. But he looked around and he saw the adults weren't, and he wasn't. And so he started questioning, why are the adults not shaking? And he started asking the adults around him and himself. He was like, why are you not shaking? And the adult said, I want to be brave for the children. I'm going to hold the child and let the child shake, but I want to be brave for the child. So I'm not going to shake. So what he understood is that the idea that shaking is an expression of fear is the idea that we share. It's the same like tears. We believe that when somebody's crying, it means that they're sad. And if we stop them from crying, we'll stop them from being sad. So therefore, if we don't shake, we're not going to show that we're afraid. So it's like as if we're stopping the fear, but we're not. What we're doing is we're suppressing it. We're actually keeping the fear and keeping the sadness. So this is all about us learning how to be a little bit less civilized, a little bit more natural, and a lot more healthy.
Natural and authentic and showing our feelings. Yeah.
In a good, safe, healthy way.
Exactly. This brings me to the next question. When we did the workshop 2 days ago, I was yawning a lot. But you told me it's not a sign of being bored. And I knew I'm not bored here. And I'm also not very tired. It was just my body wanted to discharge some energy. And you told us that there are 5 ways our body can naturally discharge this energy. What are these 5 ways?
Okay, what a great question. So this is a little interesting bit of information that not many people know. So your listeners are very lucky in this moment because it's such a gem to understand and to recognize that we discharge different energies, not the same energy, through different natural mechanisms in our body. And they're very, very helpful for us to rebalance our energy in a natural animalistic way as opposed to civilized. One of them is tremoring. Through tremoring, we release the energies of trauma, of fear mostly. The other one is yawning. Yawning releases all sorts of uncomfortableness in the body, and it can be on any level. So we yawn out discomfort, what isn't really nice in the field of the body. When there's space for us, when we're relaxed enough, we simply yawn it out. So in when I do yoga, I yawn out a lot, and I feel that I'm yawning out the result of carrying responsibility. You know, that kind of heaviness of responsibility, I just yawn it out. I feel so light afterwards. I'm like, yeah, I got this. There's also, of course, laughing, which is often a way of releasing embarrassment, the energy of, and so we're encouraged to do this. Also joy, of course, the energy of excitation and joy. What else is there? There's sweating. And did I miss one? We have crying, of course, which is the way to release sadness, grief. So we have shaking, yawning, crying, sweating, and laughing. Did I say that?
You did say
Shaking, yawning, sweating, crying, and laughing. Yeah. And when I'm speaking about these things, I'm speaking about the primary experiences of this, not the secondary. And that's another. Do you want me to explain what that means?
Yes, explain it, please.
So, a primary emotion or a primary shake, yawn, cry is one that is happening on its own accord. It's just happening naturally. It is the real deal. Okay? We're not making it happen. We're not pushing it. We're not feeling a sadness and staying away from the matter. You know, sometimes we can feel sad from a distance, you know, or we can, what else is it? We can cry in pity of ourselves. You know, we're kind of feeling, poor me. Oh, I'm going to feel really sad now about me, that I'm so it's not it's not the real thing that I'm crying about. It's about how I feel about it. That's called a secondary emotion, where I'm having an emotion about something that is not the primary aspect. Yeah, it's not the real thing that happened. It's more how I feel about it, or how I feel about how I feel about it. It can go on and on. And those are the things that we normally need to unpack in therapy. If we're following the storyline, we start to unpack and go back to the core, to the primary cause. But guess what? You already have a body, and it's already primary. And this is where we get to the business of healing very quickly when we work with the body, because your body is in the present moment. Your body's fully alive, and if you allow it to, your body will get there, and you won't even have to think about it too much, and you won't even have to have so much physical, emotional, mental, spiritual suffering around it. If you simply allow your body and trust your body and create the safety for your body, mind, spirit together to engage in life, then we can allow ourselves to have primary emotions. We can allow ourselves to have primary yawns, primary tremors, primary cries, primary laughs that simply do the job of rebalancing our energy. And they actually do the job. For some people, that's scary to have a primary experience because they feel connected. And they wonder, is it safe to be connected? And for me, this is really the cultural issue that we're facing with today, is that we're so used to being disconnected from life that when we actually feel connected, we wonder, is it safe? When actually, really, the warning label should be on the disconnected behaviors. This will make you ill. This will make you crazy. This will make you feel a lot of suffering throughout your life. And the natural way of being is safe, much more safe. And of course, we need to gain our skill there. We need to learn how to do it in a good way.
Thank you for saying this. A lot of people are feeling disconnected to other people, disconnected to their own body. And we want to encourage them to learn again to connect, because this is the safe way. This is the natural way of life. And what I also wanted to ask you again, I did experience it in our workshop that you told the students there, don't go over your limits, stay under the limit. Why is that?
So this is what I was, one of the things that I'm referring to when I'm saying connection is safe and is healthy, and we need to learn how to do it. Because we don't have much experience, and also our ancestors don't have much experience. We come from from many generations of people who engage in a disconnected way with life, mostly operating from the ideas, from the mind. If I can think it, if it's possible, if it's legal, let's do it. Instead of, is it healthy? Is it a good idea? So when we start to work with the body, we start to go, instead of into legalities, we start to go more into the realm of what is a good, healthy idea to do as a human living being. And there we realize that even though you could do more, it might not be a good idea. So what we realize is less is definitely more in this area. TRE is really not like going to the gym where we're pushing it in order to pump up our muscles. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. I actually go to the gym. I love it. It's a different thing. I also go slow and steady there, actually. But it's still somewhere where I would go further than the 6 out of 10 that we refer to in TRE. In TRE, we're working with our nervous system. And as such, we need to learn what kind of beast is the nervous system? What kind of creature is the nervous system? What does it like to, what does it find as nourishing? What does it feel safe with? Where does it unpack itself, unpack its excess trauma and come back into balance with? How do we do that? So when we're working with the nervous system, we realize that going very slow and not being ambitious, but being actually slow and steady, instead of doing your 100% effort in these exercises the 7 exercises that we prepare for the tremoring with, we do 60%. And that in itself is a huge learning curve for people, because most of the people in the West are infected with the virus of ambition. And I have it too. We all have it. And it's good.
Me too.
Yeah, right? And it's good. It serves us in lots of different ways. But also in certain areas, we have to not have that. We have to have as an ambition kindness, compassion, restfulness, because otherwise we burn out and we damage ourselves. So here is one of the places that you can learn, that everybody can learn, how to go slow in a way that gives you more. How to find out what the boundary of your nervous system feels like without going over it. So normally we notice when we're overwhelmed, when we're already disconnected or floating away or something, when we're having a big experience, then we notice. With TRE, we slow everything down and we start to notice, what does it feel like to be on the inside of this body in a safe way? What does it feel like to go one step towards my boundary and, ooh, maybe that was one step too far. So we start to be able to think, oh, I'm going to just stop and pause. I don't have to keep going. I can stop. And this is the main practice. So we have the discharge through the tremors, and we have the stopping, the pausing, and the resting, which we call self-regulation. And we have a lot of tools around both.
Wow. TRE is really working wonders for people in a safe way.
Yes.
I think we talked about every little question I had prepared for you, but there's one more thing I want the listeners to know about you. You're not just doing TRE, yeah, right? What else are you doing?
Okay, so I do a lot of different things I offer most of them as part of Karuna Detox retreats. So if anybody would like to check that out online, you can look at Karuna Detox. That Karuna means compassion and kindness. It's a Sanskrit word. And I lived in India for 4 years in Mysore before coming to the West and creating my offering. Actually, that was in year 2000. And at the time, it was the only detox retreat in Europe, really. The only other one was, guess where it was? It was here in Koh Panghan. Isn't that funny? And on that retreat, I offer many, many different things, including how to heal the body through juice fasting and how to come back home to ourselves as a whole human through meditation. And my meditations are ones that I create and that I bring for people where they are. So I feel like we need to learn how to start where we are and go from there. And today, my meditation teachings are all about resting and moving our attention and our connection down. So previously, meditation was all about ascending and going up into spirit and, transcending even, leaving suffering on the surface of the earth and becoming higher than that into our higher selves, which is somehow away from all the messiness on the planet Earth. And actually now the cutting edge, for me at least, in meditation is descending and reconnecting to the earth, to the planet, to our body, and making it safe here. So yeah, it's messy. We're waking up on Earth and it's a bit messy because we've been away. We've been disconnected for thousands of years. So coming back, becoming vulnerable and strong enough to be here together in ourselves and with each other is the beginning of, it's like an activism, you could say. It's the beginning of making life better for ourselves and for others. And that's how it works for me. We change the world one person at a time. I also teach yoga, which for me is also very much about loving the body and being kind to our body and movement. So again, releasing these egoic ideas that we need to look good or have a yoga butt or be as flexible as the person next to us on the mat next to us, who might have a very different body type, who might have a very different history, who might literally have joints that articulate and open in a very different way. So it's like a ridiculous comparison. So we need to learn how to let go of these things and basically come back to kindness. But one of the other things that I do on this retreat, which I really love to share, is constellation work. And this comes from around your neck of the world. It comes from Austria and Germany. Yes. So Bert Hellinger, he is the originator of family constellations. And this is very special work, but it's a whole other story.
Wow. So thank you so much for those insights on TRE, on family constellation, on your detox program. I definitely want to join now.
You're very welcome.
Wow. And I'm sitting next to her, and she's a really, really compassionate, wonderful female human being. And you should really check her out online. I'm gonna put everything in the show notes you need to know. And thank you very much for joining this podcast show.
Thank you so much. And I wish you and your listeners such a beautiful life. And really just starting from where we are is the key. And just relaxing into where we are and getting all the nourishment that we need where we are in order to take one step forward. This is the way that is doable to create a beautiful life. If I can do it, seriously, anybody can.
Wow, wir können alle ein glückliches Leben führen, indem wir uns miteinander verbinden. Und wir können alle jetzt starten. Das sind wunderschöne Worte zum Ende. Und damit möchte ich mich auch verabschieden von dir. Danke fürs Zuhören. Danke, dass wir dir etwas näher bringen durften, was uns selber sehr beschäftigt, und hoffen, dass es dir auch hilft. Wir freuen uns, wenn du wieder einschaltest zum Brain Food Podcast und uns auch eine Bewertung hinterlässt. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Bitte bleib gesund. Deine Sandra.